Welcome to Cultural Lens, the podcast where we explore cultural misconceptions and uncover the truth behind commonly held beliefs. I'm Kim, your host, and today we're diving into some of the biggest myths about Germany beliefs that often shape how people view this fascinating country and its people.
Hi, I'm Luca. I was born and raised in Germany, and I've encountered many misconceptions firsthand. Today, I'm excited to clarify some common myths and offer a deeper look into German culture.
Through this discussion, we aim to provide accurate insights into Germany's traditions, values, and everyday life. Let's jump right in. One of the biggest stereotypes I've heard is that Germans wear Trachten-like, lederhosen, and dirndls all the time. Is that true?
That's a common one. Lederhosen and dirndls are traditional Bavarian attire, mainly worn at Oktoberfest or regional celebrations. In everyday life, Germans wear modern clothing like anywhere else. The media often portrays Bavaria as representative of all of Germany, but the country is culturally diverse. In northern cities like Hamburg, for example, you'll find a completely different style and atmosphere than in Bavaria.
That makes sense. So, it's really just a part of Bavarian culture, but doesn't reflect the whole country. Another one I've heard a lot is that German food is all about sausages and beer. Is the cuisine really that limited?
Not at all. While sausages and beer are famous, Germany's cuisine is incredibly diverse. Northern regions have strong seafood traditions, while the West has French influences. In Berlin, you'll find a huge variety of international foods due to the city's multicultural population. Germany also has one of the largest vegetarian and vegan movements in Europe. And bread there are over 3,000 varieties. It's a huge part of daily life, from hearty rye loaves to fresh pretzels.
Wow, I had no idea bread was such a big deal in Germany. It's really interesting how different regions have their own food traditions. What about German punctuality? I always hear that Germans are obsessed with being on time. Is that really true?
Punctuality is important, especially in business settings, as it's seen as a sign of respect. But socially, it depends. Casual meetups can be more flexible, and younger generations aren't as strict. Public transport is expected to be on time, but delays still happen. So while being punctual is valued, it's not an obsession.
That's an interesting distinction. So, while punctuality is valued, it's not an absolute rule that applies to every situation or every person. Now, let's move on to some questions from our listeners. One listener asked, is it true that Germans don't have a sense of humor?
That's definitely a misconception. Germans enjoy humor, it's just different. It's often dry, sarcastic, and self-deprecating. Shows like Stromberg, the German version of The Office, highlight this well. Political satire is also a big part of our comedy. The stereotype likely comes from our preference for direct communication, which some people mistake for seriousness. But in reality, humor is everywhere, you just have to get used to the style.
That's really interesting. I suppose humor varies from culture to culture, and what seems serious to outsiders might actually just be a different style of comedy. Another listener question we received is, do all Germans strictly follow rules?
Germans do value structure, which is why things run efficiently, but that doesn't mean everyone follows rules blindly. Berlin, for example, is known for its alternative scene, activism, and creativity. People often protest, challenge authority, and push for change. While things like recycling and traffic rules are taken seriously, there's also room for individuality. So, while order is valued, so is questioning authority when needed.
That's a great point. Germany is more diverse than a single stereotype can capture. There's structure, but also individuality. I have another listener question here. Are Germans really cold and unfriendly?
I hear this one a lot. Germans can seem reserved at first because we value honesty over small talk. But once friendships are built, they are strong and long-lasting. A German might not engage in polite chit-chat as much, but that doesn't mean they're rude. It's just a different way of communicating. Once you get past that initial phase, you'll find Germans to be incredibly loyal and dependable friends.
That's a really helpful perspective. So, it's more about deep connections rather than surface-level politeness. I think that's something a lot of people don't realize. So, how can people avoid falling into these misconceptions when learning about Germany?
One of the best ways to understand Germany is to experience it firsthand, whether through travel, cultural exchange programs, or simply engaging with Germans online. Consuming German media, books, films, and news also helps break stereotypes. And it's important to recognize that Germany has regional differences. What's common in Bavaria might not be the norm in Hamburg or Berlin. Instead of assuming, asking questions and being open to learning is the best approach.
Those are great suggestions. Another way people can learn more is through books, films, and even YouTube channels. I think a lot of people would benefit from exploring Germany through those lenses instead of just relying on cliches. Today, we discuss some of the biggest misconceptions about Germany, from traditional clothing to food, humor, punctuality, and cultural norms. We also explored how regional differences play a key role in shaping German identity.
Exactly. Germany is complex and diverse. Exploring beyond stereotypes gives a much richer perspective. Taking the time to learn from real experiences, rather than just media portrayals, is the best way to gain a deeper understanding.
We invite you to reflect on your own perceptions of Germany and share your thoughts or questions in the comments below. And don't forget to join us next time as we explore the cultural nuances of Mexico.